Hello everyone, welcome to Pipeline Theory YouTube channel. So I have started this YouTube channel just to share my experiences in SQL, Python and PySpark. I have total 8 years of experience as a data engineer and I worked in various ETL tools. So my primary skill set is going to be SQL and Python as it's going to be used in many tools or in our day-to-day life as a data engineer, where we work with data to move the data from one source to another and to do various kinds of transformations on it. Yes, so that's the high-level introduction about me. And in this episode, I would like to cover why Select Star breaks data pipelines. I'm not going to say or explain what is select star in the SQL because that's going to be a very basic concept in SQL. And my primary purpose, as I said earlier, is to just share my experiences and help others in not getting or not doing those mistakes, right? So we generally have a habit of writing select star on any SQL table because that's the most common syntax everyone knows, and that's the first syntax probably everyone starts writing the SQL queries. So when we write a select star in the dev during your development, it won't fail because select star is basically used to fetch the data from your table, and it's not going to cause any issue in your dev because you are going to do that for fetching the data. You can do the same on production or QA as well if you want to just see the data. But if you are using that select star somewhere in your stored procedure or in your ADF pipelines, then that's where the real issue comes when it moves into production. And I'm going to explain what I'm uh, thinking about this and what my thought process is regarding this select star when we do this in production or QA, right? Let's move on. Yes. As I said, we just write select star because it's faster and easier to write, not faster also because select star, if it is a very big table, it's going to be very time consuming to get the data. And also, if you have so many columns, again, you don't need all the columns from that table. So doing select star can actually overwhelm you with the data. And if it is a small table or it has less number of columns or less number of rows, then it's absolutely fine to use the select star in dev, prod, or QA, right? And why this generally fails in production is, let us take a scenario. Uh, you have an Oracle SQL DB as your source system, that is your upstream system, and you are connecting to that upstream system from your ADF pipeline or any kind of ETL tool or the Databricks or anything. And you run that select star on top of your upstream system, you get all the data. And let's suppose your pipeline or code or anything, your notebook, it's scheduled or supposed to run daily. And till yesterday, you don't face any issue in that, and it was running absolutely fine. But today, your pipeline got failed, and you noticed that there is select star written in your source query in the pipeline. So that's the cause of the issue. So you might have already understood what might have happened here. Something might have changed in your source system. I mean, any additional column might have been added, and that column you don't have in your table. So there is a schema difference in your source table and your table, and that could be one of the cause for this failure if there is a select star in your source query. Or there might be another chance, like some column was deleted in your upstream system, and that column still is still present in your database. So it's not those two tables are not in sync. So in this case also, there is a possibility of the production failure for this pipeline. Here, you did not make any change in your side, but still the pipeline got failed because there is some change in the upstream and your code is not ready for that, right? So the column orders can also be slightly changed. I mean, in your upstream system, let's say they are loading in they are having an insert query to load the data into that, and they are doing earlier in a in a different format, and now they are doing insert through other system, and the column order got changed in your upstream system. So that can also cause the failure at your end because the column orders are not are not going to be in sync in your upstream and your current system going forward. So that can cause a more serious problem than a column got deleted or updated in your source system. I'll explain that further in the next slide, how the column orders can cause more serious issues than the other scenario that I told. Yeah. If you use select star everywhere, and if you have a habit of using that select star, just be aware of that and try to reduce that as much as possible. When I was in the beginning days of my SQL learning, I also used to use select star everywhere. Indeed, I use now also just to see the column names so that I can put that in my next select tables. Because if we write select star on every table that we see, it can cost so much for the business because we are getting a lot of data. We'll be dealing with a lot of data. And if we run a select star, it's going to run and scan entire table to give the required records to you, right? Instead, you just apply some where conditions or just fetch the columns that are required so that it can be it can be less cost consuming for your enterprise, and it cannot by that way it can reduce some load on your network as well, so others can also peacefully use the server that you are currently using, right? So that's the other purpose why we should not be using select star everywhere in your pipelines. And these slide mostly we covered everything like the column order dependency, schemas getting changed in your upstream system, and the speed of writing. These are all the common mistakes. I mean, these are the common implications of using select star in your production pipelines that mostly done by the beginners in SQL. So the serious problem that I was mentioning earlier, and I told that I'll cover that in the upcoming slide, right? This scenario I saw in my one of my project where some code is there in the ADF pipeline which has a select star in the source query, and the column order or the schema definition got changed in the source. Because of that, there is no schema mapping in the ADF pipeline that was enabled, and it caused mapping data in different columns. Like if there is a customer name earlier that was correctly mapped to the customer name. Now the customer name, it was flowing in the department name, and the department name was flowing in the college name, like that. Then what happens? The data flows until your final reporting layer, and it gets noticed by the business, right? If it gets noticed by the business, then obvious thing that's going to happen is they'll lose trust in the data that you load. One time it's okay because it's not okay even it's if it's the one time, but if it impacts so many users or the business customers, that can have serious implications on the business that they hold. So there'll be no compromise on the data, right? This is a very simple mistake that can happen, but we should be very cautious about. So whenever you write next time this select star, just make sure when you move into the production, obviously if it got caught in the QA, then well and good. But if in data, if you are the QA and if you are the developer and if you are moving that code into the production, just be cautious before moving to the production that there is no select star in your stored procedures, views, or the pipelines, so that it can reduce cost on your enterprise as well as it can make your code more effective. Yeah. So write SQL for change, not for today. What it means is if you write a code today, it's going to be there in the system for next few years in your database or the server. Even if the code is getting migrated into another system, that particular developer, he may completely rely on the existing code that you wrote today. So he may think that was written for some purpose, and if he don't do proper due diligence and continue making this select star in the further system as well, that can cause more serious implications on the data that's going to be there in the system. That's the topic I would like to I wanted to cover in this video, and I hope this was useful for the folks who are listening to this video. And we'll come up with another video next, and we are trying to just continue this SQL learning till at least 30 to 35 episodes. And once we complete that, I'm going to switch on to Python and PySpark as well, and we can discuss more such scenarios where a simple issue can cause a serious problem in the production, right? Yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you. See you in the next one.